The Hebrew word for mark could mean a sign, an omen, a warning, or a remembrance. The mark of Cain is God's promise to offer Cain divine protection from premature death with the stated purpose of preventing anyone from killing him. The Bible does not tell us what the mark that God put on Cain actually was. The Hebrew word for mark means sign and occurs over 70 times in the Bible, but there are no specifics as to the nature of that mark. Some people think it was a scar or tattoo. Whatever it was a sign that Cain was not to be killed. In centuries past, people believed that the mark of Cain was dark skin, and that argument was used by many to excuse discrimination, racism, and slavery. This is a twisted and thoroughly unbiblical interpretation of Genesis 4:11-16. The biblical passage in question is a conversation between God and Cain after Cain murdered his brother Abel. God told Cain, "And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it shall no longer yield to you its strength. You shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth." Genesis 4. The prospect of being alone and vulnerable frightened Cain, and he pleaded with God, saying, "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me today away from the ground, and from your face I shall be hidden. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." Genesis 4:13-14. God then decided to put a mark on Cain that would indicate he was protected by God. Then the Lord said to him, "Not so. If anyone kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold." And the Lord put a mark on Cain, lest any who found him should attack him. Genesis 4:15-16. This being the case, it is strange that some people use the mark of Cain argument to justify oppressing and hurting people because of the color of their skin. According to Scripture, Cain's mark was a mark of God's protection, not a curse. The curse, or punishment on Cain, was his exile. The mark was a sign of God's mercy. Additionally, the mark God put on Cain was placed only on Cain. There is no reason to believe that Cain's descendants would have inherited the mark in the form of darker skin color. To use the mark of Cain as a justification for racist behavior is nonsensical in the context of the passage. This should be a warning to us today to read the Bible for ourselves rather than listening to what people tell us it may or may not say, particularly when that person has a political, social, or personal agenda to uphold. What was the mark that God put on Cain? The Bible does not say. The meaning of the mark, that Cain was not to be killed, was more important than the nature of the mark itself. Whatever the mark was, it had no connection to skin color or a generational curse on the descendants of Cain. To use the mark on Cain as an excuse for racism or discrimination is absolutely unbiblical. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for our latest video updates.